Hello. In this video, I'm going to be looking at this Sargent and Greenleaf 831B. As much as I would love for this to be a picking video, it is not. My skill level is not there today. But I got a few of these. So the first time I heard about these was from Deviant Olam. I think it might have been back in 2008. He was talking about them. Can't remember where he was talking about them or if I saw the video online, but I remember him describing it and how robust they were, and I was just sort of blown away and wanted one. And this year there was a whole bunch of them, a whole set of them for sale on eBay for a price that I thought would be reasonable if I could get keys made, keys copied, and resell some of them. So you can see here, so this lock has a Medico 6-pin biaxial lock in it. It comes with a control key and a user key. So let me give you a good view of these. So here's the control key, and here's the user key. The control key and the user key are the same, except for these little notches on the bow prevent the user key from rotating the key counterclockwise inside the lock to disassemble it. But otherwise the bitting is the same, so there's no master keying or dual keying that like reduces the security of the lock. I've seen on some of these locks, I've seen them say like U.S. military, do not duplicate. This one doesn't say that. I've seen some people scratch out the serial numbers on them. I'm not sure why that is, what they're hiding there, what that is about. I can't say. It looks like this set came from the recruit training depot for the Navy. I was in the military. I was in the Marines. I remember there's a few variations of this lock, a few different models, and I'm not like an expert. I don't know the different models. I remember seeing a lock very much like this on the armories. I don't know if it was this exact model or not. We didn't use these on everything. There were other times we would be shipping things that were dangerous that we didn't use these. But generally, I think this is what I always saw in an armory. And of course, it's the Marines, so it's not just the lock that's protecting those things. So the lock might actually be the least of your worries if you're trying to get into some of those areas. But anyways, it's a cool thing, and I thought I could get these keys duplicated. I guess sort of long story short there is I cannot get these keys duplicated anywhere. I talked to everybody I could at the tool meetings, and they did me, they went around and asked people and locksmiths and Medico like representatives and dealers, Medico dealers, and apparently you cannot get a copy of these keys. Or if you can, add a comment, but it's not the do not duplicate. It's that the blanks themselves are actually restricted to the military. And they're extremely restricted, apparently. Like, it's not like the locksmith has it, but he's not allowed to. Like, the locksmith will not get this key blank ever. They'll be like issued from the factory or something to the U.S. military. And I bought some keys I thought were similar because there is a civilian core that you can buy that does go in this lock. I don't have the part number offhand, but maybe I can put it in the description. But there is a civilian core with civilian keys that will fit in this lock, and you can use and you can buy aftermarket. However, those keys are not the same keyway as this. This restricted keyway is unique. So yeah, I have not been able to find anybody who is capable of duplicating these keys or willing to. If they are not telling me. So I looked into trying to duplicate it myself a little. I'll try to show you this a little on camera. So I did it with, I originally tried, what did I try before resin? So originally I tried like epoxy resins, and that didn't work real well. What I got my best key with so far was JB Weld. Not sure if you can see that there. This key does work, however, it is weak. So what I ended up doing is I would take the keys, I submerged them in like this silicone to make the mold, and then I would use fine needles. I don't remember the gauge offhand, but I would use that and mix the JB Weld and use the needle to inject it in here so that I made sure I didn't get any air bubbles or anything like that along the key. But that's the best I've been able to come up with. My other idea, I have another idea, but I haven't played with it out yet. And I know there's some aircraft grade epoxies that are even stronger that you might have more, that might be more resilient. But as far as my testing went, JB Weld was as good as it got. And the next high strength epoxies ended up getting really expensive. So I didn't spend the money because it's, it's expensive. But yeah, let me show you how it works quick. So if you put in a regular key, you can remove the shackle. Doesn't come apart. That's it. If you're using the user key. Oh, I should also tell you too that this particular model, normally the what is this called? This shackle guard. I'm just drawing a blank. But this normally comes up around here. It's been filed off on this model to allow it to hook onto something. And I would bet that if there's any military viewers or something, any Navy guys might be able to tell you exactly what that was filed off for. I don't know. On all the locks that I bought, it came that way. So yeah, you can insert your user key. You can rotate it clockwise and remove the shackle. Those notches there prevent you from rotating counterclockwise on the control key. You can insert it, rotate it counterclockwise, and then remove the shackle, and you'll see this piece right here falls out the side. And then from the top, you can see that locking bar. So if I remove the key, and then drop out the locking bar and the inner cylinder, Medico 6-pin biaxial, and yeah, apparently there is a civilian model for these that I'll try to put in the description. So yeah, that's this. You can see the base of this is set up so that the locking bar here, this little notch on it, can only rotate while this is depressed. I think that's part of the key retention setup there. Well, it is part of the key retention setup there. But I think it also has some features to try to keep it from falling into like a control position when a person is using like the user key and not the control key. I'll put it back together real quick. So to do that, you just drop the cylinder down here. You can see that this was, and I think this is one of the things that like Deviant Olam mentioned in his video that I first saw as a teenager, was that it's really nice that this is really simple and easy to clean. From like a military perspective, it's like there's not a lot of training, there's not a lot of stuff you need to worry about. It's very simple maintenance wise, which is nice. Here, I'll put the control key back in, rotate. I can slide this, and I can remove, excuse me. Oh, sorry, that's important. It wants the bolt in there to remove the key. And actually, that goes to something else I should mention too. It wants the bolt in there to remove the key. So, like, here's one where I actually lost the cylinder, and y'all can curse me or whatever you want. At some point when I was looking for the keys, somebody was returning some keys, and they were returning the cylinder that I'd also sent with the key to try to get duplicates made. And it was at a tool thing with a whole bunch of locks, and I left the lock, and it got mixed in with the other locks, and it's gone with the wind now. So, que sera, sera. But anyways, I have this one, this empty cylinder or empty housing now. And it was actually kind of embarrassing in a way. I couldn't take it apart to take photos of the pieces, even without the cylinder in it. I couldn't get it to completely open up and to get this side piece to fall out. And what I found out was that the locking bar on the inside had actually swung closed. It had swung into the open position. So when the lock is just like this, just sitting like this, that locking bar can rotate if you're like got it in a bag or it's getting knocked around and stuff, and the bolt is inserted, it can rotate. So you can rotate from what it's in right now, which is in the control position where everything comes apart. It can rotate into the open position where the bolt comes out, but this piece right here does not. If that happens, the first thing you might do is like flip it over. You'll look in there and you'll see the locking bar, and you're going to want to try to like rotate it with a screwdriver or a tension wrench or something. And you may spend a lot of time doing that without any success. I guess the thing to remember is you need to have the bolt inserted, or at the very least, if you can see, let me see if I can get it on in view here. Well, here, I'll show you right here. At the very least, this needs to be depressed, because when that's depressed, then that locking bar can rotate from the open position into the control position. So you either need to have the bolt, the shackle all the way in and fully seated, or you need to remove it and take some sort of screwdriver or plug follower or whatever you want to depress this little springy bolt right there. And that's going to let you then go in with your screwdriver, your tension wrench, or your feeler, or whatever you need to rotate the locking bar back. So like from this position, if you would be rotating counterclockwise to get it back into the control position where you can then take it apart. I think these were a lot harder to get. There must be some new models out. I think these were a lot harder to get 10 years ago. I've seen more of them for sale on eBay. And there's other people that I think might have been in the same boat as me where they bought sets. They couldn't actually get the key replaced. And so now they are just selling the empty ones. I think those people may have been in the same boat as me, thinking, oh, I'll be able to find a way to get a copy made. Definitely much easier said than done, but it is actually kind of nice to see that, considering this is really intended for the military. It's kind of nice to see that it's not, sometimes security items end up being a joke, you know what I mean? Like, you can see the master key photo on, like, their website. So it's nice to see that, what we're using for the U.S. military is not a joke. And I'll go ahead and test this little epoxy or JB Weld key. Hopefully it doesn't break on camera. It is snug, so I have to be careful putting it in. Alright, so it's in. Actually, I'm going to rotate it from the back here because I don't want to risk snapping it. And there you can see that does work. And you could use can I turn it this way without breaking it? Yeah. Got to be real gentle with it. It's it's definitely not strong, but it does sort of work as an example. And it could be useful for like taking the cylinder apart, but it's definitely not something you could give to somebody and be like, hey, here's a replacement key. It is absolutely not that strong. But as a temporary key, it was kind of nice to have some success. With it. Oh, and one last tip, I guess, while we're looking at these. So if you're making these and you're kind of like, oh, what's some other tips for making the keys? I used a Tic Tac container, and I just cut down the side, and I would just hang the key with a little bit of like a bread tie. I would sometimes I would cut a slot here, or I would tape it there, and I would just let the key hang there. I'd pour the silicone in there and let it dry, and then once that had dried, I could cut this open, remove the silicone, take a razor blade, cut down the side, so I could carefully remove the key, and then I can take this same Tic Tac container, take this, flip it over, and then drop it in here. Like that, and then tape it up, and then I take the needles and inject the JB Weld down that way, and that way it keeps it contained and it's not getting out or going anywhere, and you get a nice seal. And yeah, it's okay for like doing, if maybe you want to take apart a cylinder or something, but it's not like something like, oh, I now have a key that I'm willing to maybe go try to open an armory with. I mean, maybe if you're crazy enough, but this is super gentle, or super delicate, very easy to snap and break. So I don't know. But anyways, yeah, back in high school, I was able to pick a couple of Medicos, but I was picking locks all the time then, and I practiced for a very, very, very long time to be able to open the one I did. So I'm going to hope to practice some more and sort of work my way back up to that. But as of today, that is not a possibility. I screwed around and tried to rake it some before making the videos. Like, yeah, maybe I'll get lucky. No. But anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I definitely not an expert on these locks, but if I know the answer, I'll tell you what I know. And thanks for watching.